本日はお忙しい
Thank you
中
for
ご参加
taking
いただ
time
き
today.
誠にありがとうございます。
We'd now like to begin on the FY2024 third quarter financial results press conference. First, an introduction of the executives on stage. Executive Officer, CFO, A.G. Fujimura. Thank you. I am Fujimura. Operating Executive, Head of Accounting and Finance, Masao Kawaguchi. Thank you. I'm Kawaguchi. First, Fujimura will present the FY2024 third quarter financial results and FY24 financial forecast, followed by Kawaguchi's explanation on the details of both. With no further ado, Mr. Fujimura, please.
To start with, first of all, I would like to extend my deepest sympathy to the victims of the Reiwa 6 Noto Peninsula earthquakes occurring on January 1st, as well as to their families, and I wish for a quick recovery and restoration of the affected areas. I will explain the financial results of the third quarter and forecast of the full year of the FY2024. Starting with the summary of the results. With regard to the cumulative unit sales until the third quarter FY2024, the unit sales of the motorcycles businesses increased mainly in Brazil and Europe, achieving the highest ever operating profits and operating margins. In the automobile businesses, despite the impact of the warranty expenses, the volume went up mainly in North America, significantly raising the operating profits year on year. As a result, operating profits of the whole company marked 1,076.3 billion yen, with the operating profit margin being 7.2%. Regarding the forecast of FY2024, although some challenging market environment exists in Asia, reflecting additional strength of the earning structures and the favorable currency impacts, we will revise the previous forecast. For the shareholder returns, in order to improve capital efficiency, we made a decision of share buybacks in the Board of Directors meeting today for the amount of 50 billion. Together with the already acquired 200 billion this term, it will add up to 250 billion in total. Further to the share buybacks, we resolved the cancellation of the treasury stocks as many as 154 million shares. Honda will accelerate our efforts to improve capital efficiencies in order to enhance corporate values. Let me explain the current situation of automobile businesses in the main markets. Due to the solid demands in the United States and the production recovery in Japan, leading to the incremental unit sales, the entire unit sales increased year on year. In terms of the sales forecast of the FY2024, we are expecting the sales drop in Thailand and Indonesia. However, we expect the sales unit increase in China. There's no change of the previous forecast. Speaking of our initiatives for electrification, in the CES, the world's largest tech exhibition in Las Vegas the other day in the US, in that show, we made a world premiere presentation of the new global EV concept model of Honda Zero Series, the concept model named Saloon and a Space Hub. At the Fuel Cell System Manufacturing LLC, the joint venture company with General Motors, we have started the production of the fuel cell systems. Next, moving on to the motorcycle businesses. In terms of the cumulative results until third quarter, despite the unit sales fell in Vietnam because of the economic slowdown, we had a stable demand growth in Indonesia and Brazil. Thus, the entire results end up at the equivalent level last year. In the third quarter alone, we had increased unit sales in Brazil and India due to the reduction of units in Vietnam. The entire result was lower year-on-year. Speaking of the results forecast over FY2024, we expect a unit sales reduction in Vietnam and in Japan. However, sales in India and Thailand would grow. Therefore, the previous forecast will still stands unchanged. In November 2023, Honda organized a briefing session on electric motorcycle businesses. We updated our sales target of electric motorcycle in 2030 from the previous announcement of 3.5 million to 4 million units. We announced how many models to be launched, and we announced electrification strategies such as production and procurement structures. Honda will accelerate electrification of our motorcycles businesses as well toward the realization of the carbon neutral. Next, regarding the outline of the cumulative financial results up until the third quarter, FY2024, in spite of the negative impact of warranty expenses, we had incremental unit sales of automobiles and the pricing scheme that reflects the commercial value of the products and so on, due to which the operating profit increased by 342.4 billion yen year-on-year to reach 1.0763 trillion yen. The profit for the period attributable to owners of the parent is 869.6 billion yen, up by 206.4 billion. Moving on to the consolidated financial forecast of the FY2024, in spite of the challenging market environment in Asia and higher warranty expenses, with the reflection of additional fortification for profit improvements current impact, we revised operating profit expectations to 1.25 trillion yen, up by 50 billion yen. The profit for the period attributable to owners of the parent is expected to be 960 billion yen, up by 30 billion. Forex assumption is 144 yen for a dollar in the second half and is 142 yen for the dollar for the full year projection. Unit sales and PL shown in the slide. Regarding dividends, expected annual dividends for FY2024 will be 174 yen per share based on the condition before splitting the shares. Therefore, no change from the previous announcement.
At today's board meeting, we passed a resolution regarding acquisition and cancellation of our own shares. And for the acquisition, we have set an upper limit of 34 million shares or 50 billion yen. Regarding the cancellation, approximately 154 million shares will be cancelled. Next, Mr. Kawaguchi will explain the details of the financial results and forecast. Let me begin. First, the Honda Group FY2024 April to December 9 months unit sales by business area is as follows. Motorcycles declined to 13,961 million units compared to the same period last year, mainly due to decrease in Asia. Automobiles 3,114,000 units, led by an increase in North America. Power products business total sales amounted to 2,548,000 units, led by decrease in North America. Next, a change in profit before income tax for 9 months compared to the same period last fiscal year. Firstly, operating profit increased by 342.4 billion yen. The change factors are as follows. Sales impact. Saw a positive impact on profit of 282.4 billion yen, mainly due to increase of automobile sales. Price and cost impacts, pricing that reflects increased products value, a decrease in precious metal prices and other raw material costs had a positive impact of 359.8 billion yen. Expenses, increase in warranty expenses plus other factors had a negative impact on profit of 366.6 billion yen. R&D expenses had a negative impact of 28.5 billion yen. Currency effects, a positive impact of 95.4 billion yen. Profit before income taxes, despite a decrease in equity method profit, mainly from China, due to an increase in operating profit, interest income, and others, profit was increased by 405.1 billion yen. Next, sales revenue and operating profit by business segment. Operating profit marked a record high of 411.5 billion yen in motorcycle business. Operating profit for automobile was 460.5 billion yen. Financial services, 204.8 billion yen. Power products businesses and others was a negative 400 million yen. Next, I would like to explain the cash flow situation. The FY2024 9-month free cash flow of operating companies, excluding financial, was 926.5 billion yen. Net cash balance at the third quarter end was 3,183.3 billion yen. Next, the forecast for fiscal 2024. Although reviewing Honda Group unit sales for each business operation by region, the total volume is unchanged from our previous forecast. Next, forecasted change factors behind profit before income taxes year-on-year. First, operating profit, we expect an increase by 469.2 billion yen. The breakdown is as follows. Sales impacts a positive profit. Sales impacts is positive of 360.6 billion yen, mainly due to an increase in automobile unit sales, price and cost impacts. Although there is an increase in labor costs, positive effects of pricing plus a decline in raw materials such as precious metals will lead to an increase of 434 billion yen. Expenses negative 353.4 billion due to an increase in warranty expenses and others. R&D expenses a negative impact of 51 billion yen on profits. Currency effects a positive impact of 79 billion yen. Although profit before income taxes expected to increase by 565.4 billion yen, mainly despite a decrease in equity method profit mainly from China, offset by increase in interest income and others. Next, changes from the previous forecast. Operating profit and profit before tax forecast is increased by 50 billion yen. The breakdown is as follows. Sales impacts, negative 11 billion yen, mainly due to decrease in consolidated unit sales. A price and cost impact. Although there is labor cost increase, pricing relating to the increased product value, plus a decrease in raw materials such as precious metals, will result in a 40 billion yen increase in profit. Expenses, minus 32 billion yen is forecast, mainly due to an increase in warranty expenses. Currency effects, an increase of 53 billion yen. Lastly, the forecast for capital expenditures, depreciation and amortization, and R&D expenditures for FY2024 as shown. There are no changes from the previous forecast. This concludes my explanation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your attention. So we'd like to now continue on with the questions and answers. As we have announced before, we are going to take questions on the Zoom, and because of the interest of time, please limit your questions to 2 questions per person. Thank you very much for your cooperation. So please push the raise your hand button on the system, please, if you have questions. Your first question from the Asahi Shimbun newspaper, Mr. Wakai, please. Wakai speaking from Asahi Shimbun. Can you hear me? Yes. I have 2 questions. Question 1 is Daihatsu homologation problems. You have many K cars by yourself, and what is the impact of sales because of that? And those fraud in the homologation and development stage, what sort of actions do you take to prevent those non-compliances? And the second question is not earthquakes. There should be some reduction of production ongoing today. What is the prospect going forward as a BCP? How do you address the situations, especially with the suppliers involved? Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Wakai. Thank you for those 2 questions. And let's start with the Daihatsu's fraud. It is of other company matters, and we do not fully understand what actually had happened. Therefore, speaking of the financial status and also what we do to prevent such things, that's the thing we can explain perhaps. And in terms of the results, Daihatsu may have a less number of the sales, and then the sales of those K cars, whether that will be added to our sales of K cars. In fact, we do not have any reflections as such effect of additional sales in our account financial results at this time. However, of course, there should be some impact on the sales to a certain extent. However, their cars and our K cars are priced differently, different price range, and also our K cars are not really shipped to the general dealers, different sales dealer style. Therefore, the impact should be restricted, I believe. And also in terms of our actions to prevent such fraud, at Honda, we have those homologation testing, and we have those homologation departments who does the testing and application of those matters. Actually, this department is separately organized away from the development and the production. And in order for that department to conduct a test and a process for homologation, they already have the well-documented processes as to, for instance, how many days it should take until the acquisition of those certificates. And of course, those certification has to be given in order to make the process to go on to the next development process. We have the clear rules for that. Therefore, we do not have the system such that we can prevent the very tight development schedule, which might induce the fraud of those kind. And starting from the April 1st, new homologation departments and quality improvement departments are to be a part of the functional department, so that they can have the improved and fortified quality governance going forward. And in the EV area coming up now, digital as well, maybe in those areas, of electrifications or digital things, we would have additional checks, including cybersecurity, I suppose. Therefore, we should make sure we would have a good hand on that. And as a head office, we have a good organization to ensure those control. In terms of the Noto Peninsula earthquakes, as we said right at the beginning, we would like to wish for a quick restoration of the affected areas and people there. And our situation is that tier 1, 2, 3 suppliers, those have a very tight lifeline situations, and the possibility of the recovery of the production, the stock levels, and so on. In fact, every day we are checking out the level of the stocks, their situation of the recovery of those suppliers, and every day the situation is progressing. And in fact, our financial statement at this time do not reflect the impact by the Noto Peninsula earthquakes. However, every day the situation progresses. And as for the recent production conditions, specifically with the K cars, mini cars, so-called shaving reduction of the production unit per day is actually conducted now. And we had the operations plans on Saturdays, Sundays, holidays too, but we had to cancel those holiday operations in order to adjust production. And we have about 20,000 units affected due to that reason. And in terms of the recovery and so forth, we will continue to look into the situation so that we can explain when the situation is clear. And in terms of the BCP and the supplier condition, how we control that? Specifically, the suppliers operating the affected areas, of course, are making the greatest efforts to recover, and thanks to them, we try to get information of what they do, stock levels, and the potential production of alternative manufacturing in other areas globally. In fact, we've had quite a good know-how since the last earthquake events. Therefore, at earlier stage, we could grasp the situation earlier. So this is the situation today. Semiconductor included as well.
Next question. Nikkei. Mr. Okinaga, please. Mr. Okinaga, please. We cannot hear you. Can you check out with your microphone? Can you hear me? Yes? Thank you for the presentation. I have two questions. We have seen a number of recalls in this fiscal year, and I think it's reached to some tens of thousands. And you say that the warranty is 353.4 billion. And does this include all the costs for recalls, or is it a case that the warranty expense will increase further from what you have already stated? Yes, thank you. Yes, in the third quarter, well, the warranty costs, expenses have increased. I did explain that. So there was the fuel pump emperor, this incident, and so this has been added on. And the fuel pipe, first of all, I'd like to express my condolence to the person who has passed away. But this, in terms of the accounting, the financial statement, is this reflected in the numbers? Well, in terms of the units, as you mentioned, it is increased to a few million units, and we will respond to this situation. And in terms of the financial statement, we believe that this is a failure coming from our supplier side, and therefore we will have them compensate for the recall expense. And this is how we've handled it in our financial statement. In regards to this case, the warranty expense is not that large. That is our understanding. And the reason why it's large, on the February 1st, the U.S. authority, we've already filed notification of a recall. There's a seat weight sensor, and there was a failure with the seat weight sensor. And we have added some 55 billion yen for that recall, and I think that this is a reason that can be attributed to the increase in warranty cost. Thank you. May I ask another? About your buyback of shares. Why did you decide to acquire your own shares? Well, yes, I think there's still room for an increase in shares given the weak yen, and I think that the impact of the interest rate hike in the U.S. and China. But is that the reason behind this decision, the resolution? Well, about the acquisition of our own shares, well, we want to improve the capital efficiency, and recently the issue is the PBR, one-fold. And we have given this, I'd like to start talking from there. Well, we, the management, we are aware of this PBR issue, and we take it seriously. And therefore, we are thinking of what we need to do. We believe that it is a responsibility for us to take further steps. It's about 1,700 yen. It's about 0.7 folds right now, and it's less than one fold, 1.0. And I think there are three reasons for this. Well, the three are, well, those accumulated from the past and the current and the future. So these are the three folds. First, from the past. Over the past decade, our capital has increased from 6 to 12 trillion yen. And so it's 45% in terms of the ratio. And so we have to deal with this past that we have, and the current situation is that for a long time the automobile revenue had dropped, and therefore the share prices were not increasing because of this situation. But in regards to this, looking at the financial results here, as we've been saying from the past, we are trying to reduce the fixed cost and also improve the revenue of new models, and incorporating these measures measures, and plus the shortage, we are starting to recover from the shortage of semiconductor, and therefore the revenue of automobile business is improving. And so this is the current situation, and what's more important is the future. The auto sector on the whole, the share prices are not picking up. This is because in this age of the ZEV, we really don't know who the winner will be, and therefore there is this lack of transparency, uncertainty, and I think that this is having an impact on our business. But we believe that given the age of zero emission, we have to come up with our own strategy and try to improve our resolution, so to say, and try to make investment in the growth sectors and try to reap the profit from those investments. So in order to improve this so-called resolution, the other day at CES, we communicated that we have a brand strategy in place, plus we have technology, investment, and other strategies to reap the fruit from our efforts in place. And next fiscal year, we are going to have a press meeting, and so the way we communicate will be changed so that we can gain more understanding from the market, and we will also try to change our way of communicating our technology to the public. So this is something that we are thinking of right now. So amongst these three, going back to the first one, in regards to our capital, here, we want to return to investment, and from the beginning, we have had 200 billion yen acquisition of own shares, and this program has ended in December last year. So just like that, we are going to maintain that pace, and by the end of this fiscal year, we want to complete this process. And given this, we believe that this time the 50 billion yen decision was made, and we've just made this announcement here. Well, we want to be actively investing in the future, and so while we do that, and also we have to try to continue to earn with the profitability of ICE, internal combustion engine, and we have to invest in growth and have a balanced way, and at the same time improve our capital efficiency. This is the management message that we want to communicate to you by announcing that we will acquire our own shares. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okinaga. Next one, Yomiuri Newspaper, Mr. Nakamura, please. Can you hear me? Yes. Nakamura from Yomiuri Newspaper. I have two questions. One about semiconductor procurement status now. The production situation is very good now, but do you think that semiconductor supply situations have been recovered fully before the COVID? And the second question was, you said about pre-tax profits, and you talked about the precious metal prices. And what is the current status of those prices, including forex situation too? You mentioned the reduction of the precious metal prices. So in terms of the semiconductor supply procurements, this year or from the February-March period in 2023, the situation have been on the recovery. We've done a lot of measures, and those actions are getting some fruitful results, and nowadays it is not a concern at all. Once in a while, we might face some situation, however, recovered now, and now we have a full-scale production in place after a long while, and until the second quarter or so in the US or the places like that, there were a shortage of the laborers at the supplier, and equipment a problem because the equipment were not running for quite a long time, and we had some situations like that. However, those issues have been resolved. And in the North America, full-scale production continues after a long stretch of not having one, but we have a stable condition. And in terms of the precious metal conditions, actually, those are utilized in the mufflers or catalyst in the mufflers. That is to purify the air emissions. A few years ago, the precious metal prices were soaring really, but in the last several years, prices have fallen because in China, they have progressed the electrification. That may be the main reason for the precious metal prices dropping down. And in addition to that, in the electrification efforts, not just automobiles, but when the economy is booming, precious metals, steels, copper, resin, those material prices are to fluctuate a bit, and we have to, of course, look at forex currency rates as well. We would like to keep watching out all those factors as we go. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Nakamura.
Next question, please. Toyo Keizai Magazine. Mr. Yokoyama, please. Can you hear me? This is Yokoyama from Toyo Keizai. Thank you. I also have two questions. The first is about the full-year forecast. Well, until the third quarter, I think that are you making good progress about compared to the third quarter? I think fourth quarter will be showing a slowdown in your operating profit increase. What's the upside and downside? Automobile and motorcycle, power products, I think the situation will be different, but can you share with us your perspective towards the full-year forecast? Can I continue? The second question about China. Well, currently, I think the unit volume is increasing, as you say, but at the last presentation, I think that there is a severe competition. There's a discount race in China. I understand that is the situation, but how do you see the Chinese market environment? You are, I think Mr. Fujimura talked about the need to cut production capacity. So what are your thoughts on China? Mr. Yokoyama, thank you very much. In terms of the numbers, the fourth quarter outlook, rather than talking about that, I was not asked to talk about this. I would like to give an overview of the financial results at this time. Well, this third quarter, the October-December 3-month actual, we had a 380 billion operating profit, and so the breakdown of the automobile and motorcycle is 160 billion each. So RS is 20.1%. It's the highest in terms of the quarterly results for the motorcycle business. And I think the situation is that, this is continuation of what I explained. There's a downturn in Vietnam, and also there is a greater scrutiny in terms of the quality. But in Brazil and Turkey and Europe included, the unit volume is increasing, or the profitability is increasing. In Asia, likewise, though there are areas where we see a decrease in unit volume, I think that we have a proper pricing in place and other efforts which is trying to show results. So for automobile, meanwhile, last fiscal year there was the semiconductor issue, so this was a major challenge. But in North America, it's a plus 120,000 units. This is mostly hybrid. Second quarter, there was a logistics disruption, but this has been cleared already. And thanks to this, we have a dealer inventory 30 days. So this is the standard that we have in place now. So 30 days. So we reached this standard now. And in Japan, it's a plus 20,000. This is because of the semiconductor. The unit sales is in a positive range. Now, China, it's plus. This leads me into the second question, but it is a positive. But the third quarter, last year, the third quarter, the inland area, there was a lockdown, and there was impact of semiconductor supply. So it was a quite low number in China. Therefore, year on year, it is a positive because of this. So there is this shift towards NEV, and also the reduction in ICE market. And I think that this situation continues to be tough for us. We have to use incentives to compete against the others. This is the situation we have put in place. As for the automobile profit, despite these conditions, as mentioned, the 160 billion, amongst this number, we have a realignment of a supplier. It's related to Yachio. So there was the impairment of the subsidiary, about 50 billion, or should I say 45 billion. That is Yachio impairment, plus the warranty cost 50 billion. So close to 100 billion yen factors are included here. But we still have this 160 billion. And it's RS 4.6%, and 9 months 460 billion. So it's 4 times the profit from compared to last year. And despite this tough condition, the volume increase in North America and the hybrid success and pricing, these factors are all combined together. And despite this one-time impairment and warranty cost issue, we have RS 6% level, and so I think that this is the situation that we currently have, and 600 billion. And in 9 months, operating profit 1 trillion, free cash flow 930 billion. So we are in a situation where we are having a record high, and in December, as an outlook, 1 trillion 250 billion, RS of 6.2%. And so with excluding the one-time events, if we have 135 yen currency exchange, we think that we have a ROS level of 6.9%, and by 25 we are aiming towards 7% of the operating margin. But in May, when we close our books, or next fiscal year, when we announce our forecast for next fiscal year, I think we will be able to declare that we've achieved our goal 2 years earlier. The fourth quarter, as for the decline, I'm just finally coming to your answer. The fourth quarter, compared to the past 3 quarters, you say that we will see a decline. Well, Kawaguchi will explain about the details here, but especially the suppliers, we have made cost adjustments, plus in America, US, the wage increase, well, from January we began this, and so there's that cost, plus it's always the case, but we have a fluctuation of our quarterly numbers because of the costs and also R&D, and so these are going down in the fourth quarter. So, please, Mr. Kawaguchi. Mr. Yokoyama, thank you for the question. Now, the third quarter versus fourth quarter, and the fluctuation in the profit. Well, as Fujimura has already explained, yes, to give you some numbers, as was said, the third quarter, just the 3 months, we have some 380 billion operating profit, and the full year forecast, if you deduct this, according to our current plan, the fourth quarter, we are expecting some 170 billion. So there is a drop of some 200 billion quarter. But the reason is because the assumption is that foreign exchange. So this is different. In the fourth quarter, we are estimating 140 yen against the dollar. The third quarter, the average was about 146 yen against the dollar. And therefore, because of this difference, according to our plan, the premise was 140. So there is a minus 80 billion or so. Meanwhile, the third quarter, as was said, the supplier, there was a impairment of some 50 billion, and therefore this part will be netted. And what remains is the fourth quarter, skewed cost, and also R&D expense. Well, there will be the model development timing and all the various activities that are underway which will influence this. But we think that the expenses are more skewed towards the fourth quarter, and this is about 220 billion. Compared 3 to 4, it's a negative in the fourth quarter. And as I explained, the cost part. Again, in North America mainly, the wage increase and labor cost and inflation impact. Cost is on the rise. And these things also has aggravated the cost situation. Plus some seasonality with the suppliers, and we have some adjustments to be made. And these all combined, the cost is about an 80 billion yen third to fourth quarter negative. So about the upside and downside that you asked, the upside is the foreign exchange. It's 146.47 yen. So well, it's difficult to predict the foreign exchange rate, but if it continues until March, then according to our compared to our plan, it will be on the upside. Meanwhile, the downside, North America economy, and also the impact of the earthquake, these will be the downside factors. But through our sales activities, we want to minimize the downside as much as possible. That is all from me. Thank you. Mr. Yokoyama, about China, about the production capacity, I forgot to mention this, so I have to answer that part of your question. Well, last time, when we make our financial announcement, production situation in China, as I said earlier, we have 1.2 million units capacity, but newly We have the NEM dedicated factory, 2 factories, so it'll come to 1.7 million units. And once these new factories are, I'm sorry, it's currently 1.49 million, plus and added the new will be 1.7. But we think that 1.2 million is the appropriate level. So we have to make adjustments for the remaining 500 million. And for the China, we are talking with our partners. Now, in terms of how we see the issue, I think our partner sees it the same way. We are on the same page in regards to this issue. However, especially in China, when it comes to employment, they're very sensitive. And so I cannot give you any details here, but from the second quarter, I've been saying this. So compared to that, we are on the same page with our partner and moving forward. This is a progress report, and we have to make adjustments for 500 million units. And we have to talk to them about how this will be done. That is all from me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Yokoyama. So next question. Nikkei Asia, Take-san, please. Mr. Take. Taki from Nikkei Asia, can you hear me? Yes, please. Thank you. I have 2 questions. I'll go one by one. First question is about a current EV sales trend. In our main market in our Western countries, it is slowing down a bit. Instead of hybrid cars getting popular. I hear that. How do you see that situation now? Would that be a kind of within expectations, or would that be a kind of a tailwind for your businesses? And you have a target of 2040, and what is the impact of that on the electrification strategy? Thank you very much, Take-san. And yes, we get this question quite frequently these days. But in terms of the Western countries markets, the EV growth is kind of slowing a bit. And in the US, EV ratio is about 8% presently. That's my understanding. And for us, I think such things can happen. So we were sort of imagining this kind of thing could happen. But in the long run, for 2035 or 2040, in the line with the carbon neutrality trend, we need to push forward electrification initiatives. Nevertheless, this is our idea as a mobility company. So as of now, 2030, 40%, and 80% in 2035, and 100% in 2040. This is the battery EV goals, and such goals are to stand, no change, and we will just simply go on for that. And we are sort of a latecomer in the EV area. Therefore, we need to make sure that we stay the customer viewpoints to find out and think what is the needs by the customers for the EVs, so that we can provide them to them to get a good profit from that. And that is the important point of this game. Therefore, we don't change the strategy. We simply go on what we do. And of course, the situation may change from time to time. And of course, there's a kind of a lag of several years and so forth. And then into 2020s, such things can happen. Therefore, of course, for strategic spending, maybe we can adjust the cash out timing and so on as we go. In the meantime, unit sales should be supported by some means as well, and we will stay flexible to support the situation like that. But in terms of the hybrid, popularity is quite solid. And for sure, out of the ICE models, hybrid would be the kind of bridging technology up until the carbon neutrality goal. Therefore, our hybrid has been already well appraised so far in the United States. Called CRV hybrid models are available, and we have very good demands. And already it's a 50-50 sort of a split between the ICE petrol-based cars and hybrid demand is very good, and hybrids are available for high-grade models, and it is a profitable model set. And in terms of the incentives as well, hybrid models would not require much incentive. Because of that, this year, perhaps until summertime around, Civic Hybrid will be launched by then. And after the 2027 model onward, hybrid will be the evolution model, such as more compact performance, profitability, body weight. Everything will be of evolution for the hybrid, and of course we will evolve them further and further. And that much is about North America and Western markets. However, in China, speed is a little bit different. In China, they have the emerging manufacturers. From China, they enter into the Vietnam, Thailand, where we need to battle in the different ways. And we will keep watching the situation from the global viewpoints and also on the appropriate timeline ideas so that we can compete there too. Thank you very much. Second question, you talked about the challenging market situation in Asia, and you mentioned that several times. And closing for the first half, did you see any changes since the first half closing time? And what is the prospect of upcoming situation of Asian markets? Maybe I can answer your question based on the motorcycle businesses because of the Asia. Since the last announcement, the change of the goals are not really happening. There's some differences, however, differences are always due to some good reasons in Thailand and Indonesia. Maybe in Thailand, as I said before, the loan credit assessment is tougher now, and the economy is a bit slowing down in Thailand. Of course, there are situations like that. However, at Honda, Deal Plus is doing good, and we are getting the shares getting high. And although we have a higher share now, the market itself is tough. And in Vietnam, the export businesses are facing with a tough situation because of the economic stagnation. And I thought the economy would recover quicker. However, maybe this condition may continue till fall this year, 24. And for Honda, value 160. That's something we have to compete, and its market share has marked a very high level. Negative thing could be our own situation, though, in Indonesia. The market itself is growing in Indonesia, but in the second quarter, there was a rust issue of the frames, because of which we had our unit sales falling down. But we had measures and actions to recover our trust by the customers, and we are getting the sales recovery because of that efforts. And Indonesia sales next term, it will be on the positive side, I believe. And in terms of the future prospect by different countries in Thailand, first, it will continue with a little bit of negatives for a more while. And I don't know it is related to the regulations, but there could be some upper limit for loans for the customers starting in April. And when that comes in, Thai situation is a bit tough. And in India, if our issues are cleared, it will be fine. India, Brazil, Turkey, European countries, including Turkey, our positive situation can continue for a while. So thank you for your understanding. Thank you very much.
はい、竹様ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.
大変申し訳ありませ
I
んが、時間の
apologize.
都合によ
By
り
the
次の質
interest
問
of
を最
time,
後
the
させて
next
いた
will
だ
be
き
the
ます
last question.
日韓自動車新聞、
日韓
水鳥様
自動車
よろしくお願いします。
Mizutori, please. Can you hear me? This is Mizutori from the Daily Automotive newspaper. I have two questions. The first is about China. Last time you said that it's about 1.1 million unit in sales that you're expecting for the full year. That was at the midterm. But is your forecast unchanged? Is that understanding correct? I want to double check this. And having said that, next fiscal year, what is the forecast? Well, at the midterm announcement, I think that you were saying that you were thinking that the same trend will continue into next year. Does that remain the same? And the second, I'm always asking this question, but about the sales price and cost impact, the waterfall chart that you mentioned, and can you explain about the breakdown? So 9 months and also the full year. So what are the factors that comprise these numbers? Thank you very much. In regards to China, the 1.1 million units that we're expecting for this year, well, this is what we announced at the middle of the year. Accord Civic, CR-V, these core models, we have invested a lot of our resources here. And if we underperform, then we think that our market performance, as we shift to NEV, will not be good for us. And therefore, we think that, we are selling at around the high price, but in order to maintain our presence, we think that we need to maintain a certain volume for the sake of the future. And that is how we've competed. And as a result, the third quarter, we have slightly overperformed our plan, and it's plus 30,000 from the 1.1 million. The fourth quarter, there is a dealer inventory that has stocked up, and therefore about 160,000. So we have narrowed down on our wholesale plan. But looking at the current situation, maybe the number could be larger. That is the impression that we get right now, as of now. As for next fiscal year, the current 1.1 million units plus EV, the EN series, the second of the series will be the first half, and the third series will be coming up in the second half of the next fiscal year. And therefore, if it turns out to be 1.3 million this year, then we think that we can go beyond that. And about the second question, Mr. Kawaguchi. Thank you for the question. About the selling, sales, and also the cost impact of what we explained in the waterfall. Let me explain about that. First, about the 9 months. In this, the waterfall, 360 billion plus was what I explained, of which the pricing impact, this is about 270 billion or so. It's a plus 270 billion of the plus 360. So that is the one part, and the remaining 90 billion is the impact of the cost. That is the breakdown. About the pricing, well, this is mainly the automotive market. Well, for each region, there are differences in the inflation rate and also the customer situation, plus our model, value-added situation are different, and therefore we have to examine these closely in determining our selling price. But because of this, we have of the 270 billion for the automotive, it's about 200 billion attributable to pricing. The remaining cost, the plus impact, well, the manufacturing cost, and also the drop in the precious metal price. This has an impact. So we have these factors. And cost, the labor cost is rising, plus there's the inflationary trend, and therefore there is this pressure, cost increase pressure. So minus 27 billion, but meanwhile the precious metal and material cost is going down, and so it's a plus 960 billion. Netting this is about a positive of 80 to 90 billion yen. Now annually, in other words, how we see the fourth quarter with the, well, throughout the year, the selling price impact, we could think that will continue to have an impact because we'll continue the change, and also the change in selling price will continue to have an impact. So we'll continue to see that impact in the fourth quarter. Annually, as I showed you in the full year forecast, the cost impact is about 430 billion plus, of which 360 billion, this is full year, is the impact of the pricing. Meanwhile, the cost part, well, the material cost, yes, it is declining, but once the declining pace slows down, then in the fourth quarter, we have incorporated that slowdown. The plus impact will, compared to last fiscal year, will come down. Meanwhile, the cost, we think that the labor cost increase, the wage increase will continue to have an impact. Cost, the plus 9 months is about 80 billion, I said, but for the full year, it will be slightly less. The cost, the supplier, we are consulting with the suppliers and sharing information and carrying out our activities. That is all. Thank you.
水鳥様、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Ms. Tori-san.
すみません、今日ちょっとご質問出なかったところで、
we did not get this question, but
私の方からちょっとアピールとして
I would like to
お聞きしたいな
appeal
と思った
one
ところ
point.
がございました。もしお時間
If you have time, though the time is already finished, however, if you could stay on, please stay with us. So in terms of the summary of the financial status, I didn't say it because it would be too long, but now the thing is that why motorcycle business is so strong? That is the frequently asked question recently, and we would like the media people to understand that fully. Maybe you can write an article that for your own writing, and then if you have time, please let me state this. Before the COVID-19 in 2019, we had 20 million units sales globally. Now we have 188 billion units in the plans this term. But back in 2019, our OP was 290 billion yen, 14% ROS. Now we have 500 million businesses, and the OP per unit is about 20 to 40,000 yen, the profits per 1 unit of the motorcycle. And then we have a near 40% global share. In some countries, we have 80% market share of the motorcycles. And then we have such sales commercial power, and we have a well-trusted brand power that is a fruit of the cumulative efforts of my predecessors. And then since 2010s, we had a mega module platform strategy in place, powertrains, frames. We had a model or we had a commonality initiative across the models, across the regions. Because of that, we improved our profit structures, and we had also improved more contact with the customers, with many more models available to them. And now in South America, in Europe, we have a high profit businesses, which is a good positive thing for us. Therefore, we used to be profiting from Asia, but now 60% Asia, the rest are from the rest of the regions, which includes 20% in Brazil, 20% from Europe. That could be the kind of a split across the world. And then, of course, the volatility can be seen in some countries with regions. However, the 20% OS, of course, if we can sustain that level of an ROS, could be another story. However, I should say that we have established a structure to be robust against the volatility or changes, and such efforts, successful efforts in the last 20 years have fruited this way. And in the next 20 years of motorcycle businesses going forward, our technology power to create attractive models with the cost containment, commercial values, powers, financial power. So when everything is in place, perhaps in the automobile area, BEV is shrinking the ICE businesses in China. However, in motorcycle, the growth is still expected. ICE motorcycle will grow. Batteries will be add-on. Battery EVs will be an add-on to that. Therefore, this business is still a growing business, and battery EV know-how ahead of others, and we have a manufacturing capital in place, and we have those efforts in our automobile, and we can get a synergy from automobile to the motorcycle business areas, which can grow thanks to this synergy, I think. Therefore, I just wanted to say that we have the motorcycle businesses like the one I described. Thank you for your time. I said 20% in Europe, but 20% including the developed countries, including Europe. That includes US, Japan as well. So that's the precise term. So please understand our motorcycle businesses precisely. Thank you very much. Now we can conclude our press conference. And our financial statements are available on our website. And thank you very much indeed for your participation. Thank you.